Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dive Into Diet. I'm with the star of the show, Lucas Schmidt. Lucas, what's going on, man?
I have to assess you today.
I'm worried about this. I wish you would have told me. I would have
know.
gotten good sleep and
Well,
but I'm coming in, right off the road.
we have to call on our strength at random times. You got to be ready anytime.
So tell us a little bit about this strength
It's
assessment.
not bad. It's just a strength assessment based on some criteria that Dr. Rogers likes to look at in some people. It's really good for anybody to have it done. It's non-invasive, meaning, one, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not sticking anything through your skin or anywhere, anything like that. It's very, I don't want to say easy because I have to ask you to squeeze something really hard. So
Right.
Technically, it's difficult, but it's not a hard assessment. It takes maybe 5 minutes.
Okay.
If that, depending on how long your dead hang is.
Yeah.
If it's longer than 5 minutes, then call me because you are a superhero, and I want to know what you're doing. So there are 3 things we do in the strength assessment. There are markers of, quote-unquote, markers of longevity. I say quote-unquote because that's what the current research suggests, but I'm not suggesting that's the end-all, be-all. So I just like to say quote-unquote. But Dr. Rogers likes to look at grip strength primarily. And the other one is, can you get up off the floor without using your hands?
How big of a deal is that one, out of curiosity?
I think it's a pretty big deal because it's a good way to test people's coordination. The overall term is proprioception.
Okay.
Fancy word. It's perceiving the environment and navigating the environment with your senses, feeling and balance, coordination, things like that.
Okay.
So if you can get up off the floor without using your hands, it means one or two things or both. You have good lower body strength, you have good control of your body with strength, or you have good balance and finesse, I like to say.
Yeah.
So agility. Maybe you're not strong enough to just muscle your way up off the floor out of like a cross-legged position, because that takes a lot of glute strength to do that.
Right.
You just cross your legs and stand straight up.
Honestly, I cannot do that. I know that.
It takes a lot of strength to do, but if you can't do that, that doesn't mean you fail the test. There are other ways to get up off the floor. So I always tell people when they're doing this assessment, you can either get up by strength or finesse, meaning you shift to one knee and gently get up. That shows coordination.
Yeah.
Either way is good. And the reason Dr. Rogers likes to know this is particularly as you get older, if you're not very coordinated, your likelihood of injury or falling or you're a little bit more helpless.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be helpless if you're home alone or you're anywhere really. You don't want to be helpless. So it's just a good marker to show overall coordination and proper function of the body. The lumbo-pelvic hip complex, which is the mixture of your legs, your knees, and your hips and all of that and how it works. So it's just a good way to test that.
Okay.
It's a good starting point.
Okay.
And to a lot of people, getting up off the floor without your hands sounds easy.
It's not.
And if you exercise, it sounds hard, like if you're familiar. And so sometimes people they act confused in appointments. I'm like, get up off the floor without your hands. They go, really? Right now? Yeah. Now, I have a cushion if they don't want to grind their knees on the floor, but I don't know that you'll need the cushion. So we'll do that at the end, though. The first thing we're going to do is pretty easy. This is the easiest part, the grip assessor. So you're going to squeeze this little gun thing.
Okay.
And it's going to tell me your force in kilograms and pounds.
Okay.
Okay. We do both hands. So go ahead and get one hand.
All right, for those
And you're going to squeeze it.
For those listening on the podcast, I am squeezing a grip meter. All right, we ready?
Yep, go ahead. Squeeze as hard as you can. Hard. Okay, good. That's probably it.
All right.
All right. Hang on. Let's do that again.
Oh.
Something the dial is. Seriously? Maybe you are at 90 kilograms of force. If you
I broke the machine.
Whoa, or you went to max. That's insane if so. Do it without a sudden.
Okay.
Don't.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Do
that's
it
a good
just
Gradual.
not super slow because you don't want to tire out. Go ahead. Squeeze really hard. Go. Harder. That's better. All right. More accurate. Because if you use jolt, it's like getting on a scale and jumping really quick. You'll weigh like 1,500 pounds. So we don't want that. I thought, holy cow! You just careful with that mic. You're going to crush it. If you cough or sneeze.
Gaming the system.
All right, this is more accurate. This looks more realistic. It's still a very good grip. You are at what looks to be 52 kilograms of force, which translates into pounds. There's little tick marks, and you're in between some tick marks, so bear with me while I calculate. You're at about 113 pounds of force with your right hand.
Okay.
I'm going to make a note. 113 pounds.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Let's do the left.
This would be a little weaker, I would imagine.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Okay.
All right. Grip.
Are we ready?
Go ahead. Squeeze it to death. Okay. We are at about at 112. So only
pretty
1
even.
pound. Yeah, you got it even. 112 pounds.
So what is like a normal, grip assessment?
It's a wide variety. Males, actually, you know what? I'm glad you asked me that. I'm going to disappear from the camera for a second. I screenshotted a database just for this purpose. There's a graph based on age. Oddly enough, the grip strength doesn't have to decrease as much with age as other strengths.
Okay. Yeah.
The current strongest grip in the world, I've mentioned him on another podcast. He's in his 70s, I think.
Yeah.
And he's insanely strong. Still holds the records in a lot of grip. And still hits those records. So if you continue to train grip, you can maintain it pretty well. I'm looking at the max.
Okay.
So the average strongest age grip strength range is 36 to 40 years of age.
I'm 38.
Okay, so you're right in there. And kilograms of force, we want around 50 pounds. Or 50, I said in kilograms, pounds. We want 50 kilograms. So you were sitting at, let me go back up to your number, which was about, you're right at about that.
So that's about normal for someone my age?
102, 105, 106. Yeah, you were a bit higher. At 113 pounds. So, yeah, you were just above the average.
Okay.
Good job for you.
There we go.
So around 50 kilograms of force. That's
Okay.
what we want. So that's excellent. So the next part of the assessment is, if I'm going in order on the sheet, it would be the dead hang, but we'll discuss the dead hang assessment. We're not going to do the dead hang assessment on the podcast because our pull-up bar is not in this room, and we have a whole setup here. So, but you said you've done a dead hang before, and your average time is 2 minutes?
Around 2.
Okay.
Around 2, maybe a tad bit less.
Sure. 2 minutes is the target zone.
Is it the
for
target?
the optimal strength, yeah. Now, if you can go above, great. But if you can hit 2 minutes, that's pretty solid.
Okay.
So that's your target, men and women generally. It's going to be harder for women because biologically less upper body strength, the frame, the bone structure. But everybody, let's just aim for 2 minutes.
Okay.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
If you've never done a dead hang, it's painful.
Yeah.
A proper dead hang, you don't have to engage the shoulders because you're not going to be pulling up, okay? You're just grabbing a bar, stepping on a stool, gently stepping off, and free hanging. Just the only thing we're gripping is our hands, trying to hang on for dear life.
Yeah.
I like to pretend there's lava under me to motivate me to hold on as long as possible. And if you need a really fun motivation, you can go on YouTube and look up hand glider with no... There's this disaster video of the guy's hand gliding with his instructor, and they go, and he's got a GoPro on, and he realizes after they've jumped, he's not tethered to anything.
Dang.
He's just free hanging onto this hand glider. His grip got really strong. He survives. He's fine.
Dang.
He did tear a bicep and fracture his wrist from death gripping because he kept slipping, and so the stress. But boy, he never let go.
Golly.
And his dead hang time, according to that, was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's a good motivator. I've hit 2 minutes and 30 seconds once because I watched that video and I was like, would I be dead?
But
In
surely
this
you
scenario, would I be dead? Of course, the adrenaline might carry you even further. This
Right.
wasn't a guy that I don't think trained a lot. I
Right.
don't know the guy, but it's a fascinating video. Anyway, so grip strength is another marker of longevity, according to Dr. Rogers. He's probably talked about it in other podcasts. Primarily because it seems to be the culmination of a lot of efforts, meaning if you maintain a strong grip, that either means you exercise, like lifting weights, because you're naturally training your grip constantly when you're picking up heavy weights, or you're very active with your hands in your daily life, be it you work in wood, you work some physical required job, meaning you're active and you're moving. So it's a really easy marker to get instead of forcing someone through all these exercise tests. So it's just fast and it's convenient. It also is an indicator, again, of your ability to function normally as you get older. Because if your grip doesn't work, you'd be surprised how many things you can't do.
That's really interesting.
Opening a jar of pickles, for one. So yeah. The all-important jar of pickles. The final assessment, we are going to cut to B-roll, meaning we're going to pause here just a second, switch cameras, and watch Ben get up off the floor without his hands. And then I'm going to make some observations, and then we'll finish up. Cutting to B-roll. All right, we're at B-roll now for the freehand standing assessment. He is not allowed to use his hands to get up off the floor. I don't care if he muscles up or does finesse. Go ahead and attempt your getting up off the floor.
All right, here we go. I'm just going to go.
Yep. Easy as pie. Then use the finesse method. If you're wondering what the muscle up method is, it would just be sitting this way and standing up like a pretzel.
I absolutely cannot do that.
We'll talk about what that means on the main camera. Back to you.
All right, we're back, guys.
Here we are.
You just saw me struggle my way through getting up.
It wasn't really a struggle.
Honestly, I'm a little embarrassed. It should have been easier.
No, it wasn't that bad.
I was a little intimidated.
So he didn't have any warning today about this episode. I'm going to make you do this thing. And I even offered a practice round before we started rolling. He's like, no. It needs to be raw. It needs to be
first
what
take.
It will be. First take. So this assessment sheet is very short. So what I say is, 1, were you successful at getting up off the floor? For you, yes. How many attempts did it require? 1. Those are great, right? Was momentum required is a question, yes or no? I don't know that it was required. You used momentum a little bit. So I'll go objectively and say, yes, I think you could do it without.
Yeah. I rocked to get on.
The reason I want to know if momentum was required is that is an indicator of it could be an indicator. I don't think in your case this is true. A lack of a particular strength in a particular range of motion, because I had to shove myself through it.
Right.
It's a difference of, can someone get up off the couch just freely, or do they have to do this, throw themselves up?
Yes.
And that's an indicator that maybe a particular range of motion in your knees or your quads or your hips isn't quite as strong as it should be, because otherwise it could just fire and lift you out. It's sort of like when people do push-ups really fast.
Yep.
That momentum is taking care of a lot of that work. They should be able to do them very slowly.
Yep.
So that's why I put that question on here. And then I have a box for observations. Ben used what I call the finesse method to get up, which is perfectly fine and acceptable. He used a coordination of movements to rock himself to a more advantageous position, where he could be more upright, and then he could transfer weight pretty easily to get up off the floor. And then on that same clip, I showed you the sort of the more blunt version, which is you just cross your legs and squeeze your butt and stand straight up. Either way is perfectly fine. So you passed with flying colors.
Thank you.
Yay. Current obstacles, confidence. Confidence is an obstacle. We'll talk about that in another podcast. Have some confidence. You're pathetic. I'm just kidding. Other than that, I don't really see any physical obstacles. You use momentum, like I said. I think with the proper cues, maybe somebody saying, just do that. You wouldn't probably need it. We could check it again. And I would, if I did an assessment and I had made any kind of physical recommendations in the appointment, I would want to do another one to see if your grip strength went up, if that was part of our goal, or if you can get up more easily.
Yeah.
So that's the strength assessment.
The strength assessment.
Easy enough.
Thank you. Guys, this has been another episode of Dive Into Diet. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We went over the strength assessment. We go over this in our Performance Medicine of Johnson City location with my man here, Lucas Schmidt. So if you're interested in this, contact that office and we'll get you set up. Lucas, thanks, man.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Don't go away.